If you're a coach posting consistently but you're not getting inquiries, this video is going to explain why, but more importantly, it's going to explain what to do about it. Because over the past 5 years, helping over 400 coaches build their businesses, when I take people on, they pretty much always start off by copying other people. They copy trends, they do informative content, they just speak about topics. They don't have a coherent strategy in place to get people to sign up into their service. And that's a very different skill. Extracting leads off your following requires a different approach than just trying to grow that following and get more followers. What you're about to watch is actually a lesson from my community Scale with Service, where I break down 3 core content pillars. So when you learn about these pillars and you implement them consistently, you're going to drive more urgency in the following. So the followers that have been following you for months, it's going to tip them over the action threshold so they actually inquire into your service. And the people who haven't followed you, it can build rapid trust with them, and you can do so many trust building points of contact within one post when it's accurately delivered. And this is just one lesson from the community, but I'm sharing it because I know you're going to benefit from the information and it's going to help drive more people into your business. So let's dive into it. A lot of coaches struggle with content. They really don't know what topics to talk about, what to post, and we've already covered the fact it's not topics, it's reality and problems, but they struggle with strategy and having a coherent plan to follow on a weekly basis. And this video is all about breaking down the overall structure and the reason why we're going to alternate different angles within the content. Likewise, you know that there's different strata, there's different levels of awareness and interest and investment, but this is the actual application of, okay, how we then start to address that. And it's broken down into 3 core angles within content. And I describe this and I look at it like a flywheel, like a Catherine wheel, like a bonfire night, whatever. You have one feeds into the other, which feeds into the other, which feeds into the other. And then if you post and alternate between these 3 things, you spin this wheel round and round and round and round and round and round. And the more people go through it, the more likely, the warmer they get. And then they get to the point where there's a critical threshold and one message goes bang, and it makes them inquire. It makes them tip them over the edge, and that'll be different for different people. And we can kind of flesh this out in minute detail and in granular detail in the next video where we strategize individual posts. But this is the weekly strategy, or it's not even like a weekly strategy. You could look at it like a push-pull leg split if it is like 3 posts. But the first one is problem content. So it's content specifically focused around referencing the reality and the problem and the struggle. You don't have to give too much of the solution, by the way. You just have to reference and get accuracy and precision on what that person's experiencing at that point. Because if you do that, you'll attract people with the problem your service is designed to solve. And you'll also agitate it. You'll start to kind of influence and create pain in order for them to start to become problem aware or start to question, or might move them up into actively researching. So a third of the content strategy should be mainly focusing on problem. You can hint towards doing it, but try not to give out the answer. Try not to give out all the solution. You could just mainly reference an angle or like a potential thing to focus on, but this is weighted more towards your ability to associate with how they feel so they can resonate with you. The next bit of content is service or process. And this is actually the solution. So if you don't answer and provide the answer to the information to the problem in the first part, or the first angle and pillar of content, this becomes the solution because it explains how you turn up and how you solve these problems, or what you do and how you do what you do, and why you exist and what you're here for, and what your framework does, how your process addresses things, the work you're doing now and who you're associating with and how you've helped so-and-so. It's showing a window into what you do. And this will make sense when we move on to the third thing, which is proof, because the proof is a demonstration of power and it shows that your process works. And the way this Catherine wheel spins and the flywheel rotates is someone sees, someone hears or references exactly, or they notice their reality. They look at a video, there could be a carousel, there could be a thought right on that first slide, and then they can start to kind of look and read and go, this is me. The next thing they see is you working with someone else. Or they see an element of your process where you reference a thing they've never heard of. And then they see someone else getting a result, and then they see a problem, and they get more resonance, then they see the process, then they see the result. And then in time, they'll probably initially notice the problem first, they'll notice the results. This contrast between how I feel right now and my reality at my first orbit range, which we've understood from prior videos, the reality that I want, other people succeeding, other people getting what I want, the contrast between these 2 points, and the only thing I see apart from that is process, service. That's the thing that connects the dots. That's what I need. That's the thing that does this to this. And, some people are thick as pig shit. They might need to go around this flywheel an infinite number of times. Some people get it straight away. It's not about intelligence, to be fair. It's a bit harsh. But it is like where they are, how warm they are, how are they problem aware, are they actively researching, at what point are they coming in, what strata are they involved with. But the point is, when you strategize content into these 3 categories and you just follow that process and alternate between these 3 as a core angle within content, the 3 core pillars, you create that effect of the flywheel. So just to really be pedantic on this, it's not like 1 week you post problem. Next week you post service. Next week you post loads of proof. No, it's within a week, it's problem, agitate it, bit of service, proof it works, problem, service, proof it works, bang, these different angles. And then it's just people being exposed to that in time. And people have different content strategies I've seen. They go Trends Tuesday, Throwback Thursday. My perspective, not deep enough, doesn't fucking work. It makes you the same as every other fucking Tom, Dick and Harry coach out there. Makes you bland, makes you boring. You're focusing on service level things, and there's no actual core fundamental strategy which warms people up and drives them through the psychology of wanting to know more, being agitated between these 2 poles of where they are right now and what they want, and then the only obvious thing of details of how you work. It being unique, it looking different, it giving them hope, it addressing objections, it showing clearly how you address or how you overcome struggles that they're experiencing. It's that documentation, and it feels real and raw, and people will start to kind of trust it. And then you're showing off the journey, you're showing off other people who are literally like them. And then when you talk in reference to the problems, you are stepping inside their mind. That, with precision in time, it gets sign-ups. In fact, Jessica had one the other day. She hadn't had a lead in 9 months off her content. 700 followers, really not sure what to post. We incorporate this strategy. Within 2 weeks, she had an inquiry on the form. Why do you want to work with me specifically? Really good question, by the way, to put in. But on that, they said, I feel like you know me. Your content's very good, and I think you're the one who can best help. And it's like, wow. As explicit feedback goes, that confirms like the precision of Jessica nailing that strategy, but also like labeling the reality. And then again, she used that formula. She used this flywheel. She had this 3-pillar approach. And, as I said, you just roll the dice on people following you, new followers, like are they, or even current followers, like the people who see the content, are they in the problem unaware, problem aware, actively researching, ready to buy? You really don't know. But what you do have now is a flywheel which moves people up the pyramid, moves them up that process from unaware, aware, research, ready. And that's it. So you can look through the task below, and you can start to strategize and start to plan out your content on this basis. You could do, it doesn't have to be like a weekly structure if you don't need to, but for simplicity's sake, you could fit it into that. You could fit a lifestyle post in between. There you go. There's like 2 rounds of the flywheel plus a lifestyle, 7 posts done. But this way, it's strategized. It becomes clear. And if you want to batch do it, you can kind of create a month's worth of content pretty effectively. But in the next video, what we're going to do now is we're going to go into a bit more detail on, okay, capturing attention and what specifically the role of each part of the piece of content is. So we're doing everything we can to make each part of that flywheel perform as best it can and actually pull people in. So that's the flywheel. Problem, service, proof. Rotating those angles consistently builds that urgency until the person viewing hits their own personal action threshold and reaches out. It's not overly complicated, but it does require a strategic shift in how you think about content and why you're posting what you're posting. If that did resonate and you want to go deeper, there is loads more where that came from. In the community itself, I delve into a lot more topics beyond just strategic content. I talk about the psychology of influence, how to get a result with someone, how to leverage referrals, how to increase retention, how to create the most impact with question frameworks, but also how to improve the service structure itself. So you present something that you're proud of, but also you package and communicate your service in a way that people want it. Whether or not people want what you have to offer massively influences their willingness to reach out. And a lot of it is just the perception, how you package things. So it's really a threefold effect of making sure that you present and turn up in your best light, where you are the best version of yourself and no one else can rob you of you at your most potential. Communicating your service in the right way, understanding the psychology of who you're trying to help so you can influence them through your content one-to-many, you can influence them in conversation, and then how to create long-term impact so you can retain clients for a long period of time, you get a better result from them, which attracts more indirect inquiries, but also through that you nurture better relationships which yield more referrals. Right now there's a free trial, you can try it out and see what you think before you have to commit to anything. Links in the description below. Sign up now and start benefiting from the information that you've been missing out on, because there's over 100 strategies in that community that I've honed and developed working one-on-one with clients over the last 5 years. And there's a solution to every problem in your business. You just have to peel back the layers and go into the details and break everything down to a micro chain of events to the point where you can test and find out the real answer. But you don't even have to do that because I've done that for you. See you on the inside.